Welcome to Truth Report, the only news show that dares to ask the questions they don't want you to ask. I'm Alex Truth.
And I'm Maya Clarity. Tonight, we're diving into a disturbing surge of disappearances in Mexico, Obama's clarification on extraterrestrial life, the rise of EVs in Germany, the contentious use of baby boxes in the US, and a chilling attempt to censor free speech under the guise of prison security.
These seemingly disparate stories, when viewed together, paint a troubling picture of power, control, and the erosion of fundamental freedoms across the globe. We'll expose the patterns and connections they don't want you to see.
Buckle up, because tonight, we're not just reporting the news. We're exposing the truth.
Let's start with a crisis unfolding south of the border. According to a recent report in The Guardian, disappearances in Mexico have surged by a staggering 200% in the last 10 years.
That's right, Alex. The article details how over 130,000 people are now considered missing or disappeared, largely due to the expanding influence of drug cartels. This isn't just a statistic, these are real people, real families torn apart.
The story highlights the case of Angel Montenegro, a construction worker abducted in broad daylight in 2022. He was simply waiting for a bus after a night out with co-workers when a white van pulled up, and he was snatched.
What's particularly chilling is the apparent impunity with which these cartels operate. The Guardian reports that these disappearances are not isolated incidents but a systemic issue fueled by corruption and a lack of accountability.
The article points to the expansion of drug cartels as a primary driver. These groups are not just involved in drug trafficking, they control territory, extort businesses, and silence anyone who challenges their power.
The Mexican government's response has been widely criticized as inadequate. Critics argue that the authorities lack the resources, the will, or both, to effectively combat the cartels and protect citizens.
The families of the disappeared are left to search for their loved ones themselves, often facing threats and intimidation. They're fighting for justice in a system that seems designed to protect the perpetrators.
Who benefits from this chaos? Clearly, the drug cartels thrive in an environment of lawlessness and impunity. Their power expands, and their profits soar.
And who loses? The most vulnerable members of society, the working class, the poor, and anyone who dares to speak out against the cartels. They are the ones who pay the ultimate price.
Beyond the cartels, powerful economic interests may also benefit from the instability. When the rule of law breaks down, opportunities arise for exploitation and illicit activities.
This situation is directly linked to the global war on drugs, a failed policy that has fueled violence and corruption in Mexico for decades. The demand for drugs in wealthy countries like the US drives the profits that sustain the cartels.
This is a story about power, the power of organized crime, the power of corruption, and the powerlessness of ordinary citizens in the face of overwhelming forces.
Let's turn now to a slightly lighter, but still perplexing, story. Former President Barack Obama has clarified remarks he made on a podcast, walking back what some interpreted as an admission of alien contact.
According to Al Jazeera, Obama stated there's no evidence of direct human contact with extraterrestrial life, despite earlier comments that suggested otherwise.
This is a classic case of walking back a statement that might have revealed too much. Remember, Obama initially alluded to the existence of classified information regarding UFOs and potential alien encounters.
Now, he's emphasizing the lack of evidence. But what does evidence mean in this context? Is he referring to publicly available evidence, or classified information that remains hidden from the public?
The ambiguity is deliberate. Governments often use vague language to maintain plausible deniability while keeping sensitive information under wraps.
The question remains, why the initial hint of disclosure, followed by a retraction? What's the strategic purpose behind this carefully orchestrated dance?
It could be a way to slowly introduce the idea of extraterrestrial life to the public, preparing us for a future revelation. Or it could be a deliberate distraction from other pressing issues.
Regardless, the handling of this issue raises questions about transparency and the public's right to know about matters of potential global significance.
Who benefits from keeping the truth about aliens hidden? Perhaps those who fear the potential disruption to existing power structures and belief systems.
And who loses? The public, who are denied access to information that could profoundly impact our understanding of the universe and our place within it.
This whole affair highlights the power dynamics at play when governments control information, especially information that could challenge the status quo.
The connection to broader power structures is clear. Those in positions of authority often control the narrative, shaping public opinion and influencing the flow of information.
Now, let's shift gears to a more positive development, the growing adoption of electric vehicles in Germany.
According to CleanTechnica, EVs accounted for 30% of the German auto market in 2025, a significant increase from the previous year. The Volkswagen ID.7 is the best-selling model.
This is a clear indication that the transition to electric mobility is gaining momentum, driven by factors such as government incentives, stricter emissions regulations, and growing consumer demand.
The article notes that December saw plug-in EVs at 34.5% share in Germany, up from 23.4% year-on-year, indicating an accelerating trend.
This shift towards EVs has significant implications for the automotive industry, energy markets, and the environment. It signals a move away from fossil fuels and towards a more sustainable transportation system.
However, the transition is not without its challenges. Concerns remain about the availability of charging infrastructure, the cost of EVs, and the environmental impact of battery production and disposal.
Furthermore, the dominance of Volkswagen raises questions about market competition and the potential for a monopoly in the EV sector.
Who benefits from this trend? Electric vehicle manufacturers, renewable energy companies, and consumers who are looking for cleaner and more efficient transportation options.
And who loses? Traditional automakers that are slow to adapt to the changing market, fossil fuel companies, and workers in the internal combustion engine industry.
The shift to EVs represents a disruption of established power structures, challenging the dominance of the oil industry and creating new opportunities for innovation and economic growth.
This transition also highlights the power of government policy to influence consumer behavior and drive technological innovation.
Now, let's turn to a more controversial topic, the rise of baby boxes in the United States.
Al Jazeera reports that anti-abortion groups are promoting these boxes, where vulnerable mothers can anonymously surrender their newborns.
These boxes are designed to provide a safe and anonymous alternative to abandoning a baby in a dangerous location. Proponents argue that they save lives.
However, critics raise ethical and legal concerns, arguing that these boxes may violate the rights of the child and undermine efforts to prevent unwanted pregnancies.
The debate over baby boxes highlights the ongoing tensions surrounding abortion rights and reproductive health care in the U.S.
It also raises questions about the role of government and private organizations in providing support to vulnerable mothers and children.
The anonymity afforded by these boxes makes it difficult to track the outcomes for both the mothers and the children involved.
Who benefits from baby boxes? Anti-abortion groups, who see them as a way to reduce the number of abortions. And potentially, newborns who might otherwise be abandoned in unsafe conditions.
And who loses? Pro-choice advocates, who argue that baby boxes undermine access to abortion and comprehensive reproductive health care. And potentially, the children who are surrendered anonymously, without any information about their biological parents.
The rise of baby boxes is directly linked to the broader political and social landscape surrounding abortion rights, where power struggles are constantly playing out.
This issue underscores the power of ideology to shape policy and influence the lives of vulnerable individuals.
Finally, let's discuss a disturbing trend toward censorship that's gaining traction in the U.S.
According to the Intercept, prison-style free speech censorship is coming for the rest of us.
The article highlights the case of Daniel Sanchez Estrada, an incarcerated writer who is facing legal challenges for possessing literature deemed dangerous.
This case raises serious concerns about the government's ability to restrict access to information and suppress dissenting voices.
The argument is that if the government can censor literature within prisons, what's to stop them from extending that censorship to the broader public?
This is a slippery slope that could lead to the erosion of fundamental freedoms and the suppression of critical thought.
The article argues that this is a familiar tactic, using the justification of security to restrict access to information and control the narrative.
The implications for journalists, activists, and anyone who challenges the status quo are chilling.
Who benefits from this censorship? Those in power who want to control the flow of information and silence dissent.
And who loses? The public, who are denied access to diverse perspectives and critical analysis.
This is a direct attack on the principles of free speech and a clear example of how power can be used to suppress opposing viewpoints.
The connection to broader power structures is undeniable. Those in positions of authority are attempting to control the narrative and maintain their dominance by silencing dissenting voices.
So, what connects these seemingly disparate stories? We see a pattern emerging: the abuse of power, the suppression of dissent, and the erosion of fundamental freedoms.
The disappearances in Mexico highlight the unchecked power of organized crime and the failure of government to protect its citizens. The opacity surrounding Obama's comments on aliens showcases the control of information by those in authority.
Even the rise of EVs, while positive in some ways, raises concerns about market dominance and the potential for new forms of corporate power. The baby box debate underscores the power of ideology to shape policy and impact vulnerable individuals.
And the censorship case is a stark reminder of the constant threat to free speech and the importance of defending our right to access information.
The common thread is the struggle for power: who has it, how they use it, and who is impacted by their decisions.
These stories reveal a world where truth is often obscured, justice is elusive, and freedom is constantly under threat.
It's up to us, the citizens, to demand transparency, accountability, and justice. We must hold those in power accountable for their actions and fight for a world where truth prevails.
Stay informed, stay vigilant, and never stop questioning the narrative.
This is Alex Truth, signing off.
And I'm Maya Clarity. Thanks for watching Truth Report.